Ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you something. How many of you feel like you're running on empty? How many of you feel like you're constantly giving, but you're never getting anything back? The truth is, many of us go through life on autopilot, caught up in the hustle, the demands, and the expectations of others. We're so busy trying to please everyone, meet every demand, and be everything to everyone that we forget the most important person in our life, ourselves. But here's what I want you to understand today. You can't give what you don't have. If you're not focused on yourself, if you don't take the time to know who you really are, set your boundaries, and live authentically, you're setting yourself up for burnout, frustration, and regret. So today we're going to break free from this cycle and start focusing on the most important thing to you. I'm going to share with you powerful lessons that will change how you approach your life. You'll learn how to take control, build supportive habits, set boundaries, and most importantly, live the life that's true to who you really are. These lessons are not easy, and they'll challenge you to take responsibility for your life. But the truth is, nothing in life that's worth it ever comes easy. So if you're ready to take your life to the next level, if you're ready to start living with purpose, joy, and authenticity, then let's dive in. It's time to stop living for everyone else and start living for you. Focus on yourself. If you don't focus on yourself, you're setting yourself up for disaster. You will wear yourself out, lose your passion, and eventually you'll have nothing left to give. Here's the truth: when you spend all your time and energy giving to others, your work, your family, your friends, you will eventually run out. How many of you feel exhausted right now? How many of you feel like you're always giving but never getting anything back? You help others, you do everything for your job, and you take care of your loved ones, but what about you? You're giving so much to others, but you're not taking care of yourself, Dot. And that's where the problem starts. Eventually, you'll wake up and realize that you don't even recognize yourself anymore. You're just going through the motions, doing things because you feel like you have to, not because you're excited or happy. You'll start resenting the very people you're trying to help because you're running on empty. You'll feel frustrated, tired, and disconnected from your own life. It will feel like you're stuck in a rut, and that's a terrible place to be. Here's the hard truth: if you keep pouring out for everyone else, one day you'll find your own cup empty. To give, you must first be full. If you don't focus on yourself, you'll have nothing left to offer. If you're constantly giving and never filling yourself back up, you will burn out. You won't have the energy, the patience, or the joy to do what you're doing for others. You'll just be going through the motions, and that's no way to live. So here's what I want you to do every single day. Take at least 10 minutes just for you. Find a quiet spot. Take a deep breath and ask yourself, what do I really need right now? Am I happy? Is this the life I want? Even if you only have a few minutes, take the time to stop and check in with yourself. If you're not happy with the answers you get, then do something about it. Don't just keep going through life without taking the time to figure out what you need. Don't wait until you feel completely worn out. You need to take care of yourself now. Here's the thing: if you don't focus on yourself, you won't be able to help anyone else the way you want to when you're running on empty. You're not the best version of yourself for your family, your friends, or your job. But when you focus on yourself, when you fill your cup, you have more energy, more patience, and more joy to give to others. Make the choice today. Focus on yourself. It's not selfish, it's necessary. If you don't make the time for yourself now, you'll regret it later. Your well-being is in your hands. Take responsibility for it. You deserve to be the best version of yourself. Don't wait until you've given everything away and have nothing left. Focus on yourself now. Know your values. If you don't know your values, you're lost. You'll live a life full of confusion, frustration, and regret. When you don't know what matters most to you, you're just drifting. You're doing what others expect of you, what society says you should do, but deep down, you're never truly satisfied. How many of you feel like you're constantly working, but something's still missing? You've checked off all the boxes and got the job, the house, the car, but something doesn't feel right, does it? Maybe you're living someone else's dream, not your own. You're living a life based on what other people want or what you think you should do, but not on what you truly care about. And that's a dangerous way to live. When you live without knowing your values, you will always feel unfulfilled, like you're chasing something that's always just out of reach. If you don't know what you value, you'll spend your whole life building something you don't want. When you don't know your values, you're making decisions that don't align with who you really are. You're pouring your time and energy into things that don't even matter to you, and that leads to dissatisfaction. You feel disconnected. You start to wonder, what's the point? It's because you're not living in alignment with your values. So what do you set boundaries? If you don't set boundaries, you're inviting chaos into your life. People will take advantage of you. Your energy will be drained and you'll feel resentful. Without boundaries, you have no control over your time, your energy, and your mental well-being. How many of you are always saying yes when you really want to say no? How many times have you done something for someone else, even though it drained you or took you away from something important? It happens all the time, doesn't it? If you don't set boundaries, people will walk all over you. They will take as much as you're willing to give, and you'll be left with nothing. You'll start to feel bitter, exhausted, and frustrated. You'll wonder why no one respects you. But here's the hard truth: you haven't taught them to respect you. You've allowed them to take advantage of you by not setting clear boundaries. Let me tell you something, if you don't protect your time and energy, no one else will. If you're always saying yes to others and never setting boundaries, you'll never have the time or energy for what really matters to you. You'll feel constantly drained, and eventually you'll resent the very people you're trying to help. You'll be giving so much of yourself away that you won't even recognize who you are anymore. You'll feel trapped in your own life. So what do you need to do? Start setting clear boundaries now. Say no when you need to, and don't feel guilty about it. It's not selfish to protect your time and energy, it's essential. You are not responsible for meeting everyone else's needs at the cost of your own. Remember this: setting boundaries is a form of self-respect. When you set boundaries, you are showing yourself and others that you value your time, your energy, and your well-being. Don't feel guilty for setting boundaries. Stop letting people take from you without giving anything back. You have the right to protect your time and say no when it's necessary. If they care about you, they will understand. Set boundaries. It's the only way to keep your peace, your energy, and your life under control. If you don't do it, you're setting yourself up for burnout. So take charge. Draw the line and protect what's yours. You'll feel stronger, more in control, and more at peace when you do. Do what brings you joy. If you don't do what brings you joy, you're wasting your life. You'll wake up one day, look around, and realize that you've spent years doing things you don't care about. You've been busy, but you haven't been living. You've let life pass you by without enjoying it. That's a tragedy, Dot. How many of you are stuck in a routine, just going through the motions day after day? You wake up, go to work, come home, sleep, and repeat. Is that really living? It's easy to get caught up in the grind, but if you're not doing something that fills you with joy, you're not truly living. If you don't make time for what brings you joy, you'll burn out, Dot. You'll feel empty, tired, and disconnected. Joy is what fuels your spirit. It's the reason you wake up excited for the day. Without joy, you're just existing, not thriving. And let me tell you, that's a miserable place to be. Here's the truth, life is not about surviving, it's about thriving, and joy is the fuel that makes it happen. You need to make time for what brings you joy. Don't put it off. Don't wait for the perfect moment. If you're waiting for life to slow down before you can enjoy yourself, you're going to be waiting forever. You have to make time for it now. Whether it's a hobby, time with loved ones, travel, or just quiet moments to yourself, joy needs to be a priority in your life. Think about it. What makes you feel alive? What makes you feel excited and fulfilled? It could be something small, like reading a book or walking in nature, or something bigger, like starting a new project or pursuing a passion. Whatever it is, make time for it. Stop living a life that drains you. Stop making excuses. Do what brings you joy now. When you fill your life with joy, you'll have more energy, more purpose, and more drive to do everything else in your life. If you don't do what brings you joy, you'll regret it. Life isn't about just working hard, it's about living fully. Take time to enjoy the ride, fill your cup with joy, and watch how it overflows into every other area of your life. Surround yourself with positivity. If you don't surround yourself with positivity, you're setting yourself up for failure. The people you spend time with, the things you listen to, and the environments you put yourself in will either lift you up or drag you down. Negative energy is toxic. It will drain you, hold you back, and destroy your confidence. How many of you are constantly surrounded by negative people, complaining, criticizing, or always focused on problems? It's exhausting, right? If you're around negative energy all the time, it will start to seep into your own thoughts, your own mindset, and your own life. Negative people don't just drag you down, they make you question yourself. They fill your mind with doubt, fear, and negativity. You can't grow in that kind of environment. If you don't surround yourself with positivity, you'll never reach your full potential. You need to be around people who inspire you, challenge you, and encourage you to be better. If you're stuck in a cycle of negativity, it's going to be harder and harder to break free and achieve your goals. You'll feel stuck, overwhelmed, and hopeless. Here's a quote you need to hear. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Think about your circle right now. Are the people around you lifting you up or pulling you down? Are they encouraging you to chase your dreams? Or are they keeping you in a small, safe box? If you want to grow, you have to be around people who push you to grow. Here's what I want you to do. Take a hard look at your circle of influence. Are you spending time with people who are negative, who make you feel small, or who drain your energy? If you are, it's time to make a change. Start seeking out people who inspire you, who make you feel positive, and who want the best for you. And don't just focus on the people around you. Watch what you're consuming mentally too. What are you watching, listening to, and reading? If it's full of negativity, you need to cut it out. Fill your mind with things that inspire you, that push you to grow, and that make you believe in yourself. Surround yourself with positivity. Seek out uplifting environments, people, and content that will push you to become the best version of yourself. If you want to succeed, you have to protect your mind from negativity. You can't afford to let it hold you back. Positive energy is everything, so make sure you're feeding yourself with it every single day. Reflect and take responsibility. If you don't take time to reflect and take responsibility, you'll never grow. It's easy to blame others, to point fingers and make excuses when things go wrong. But let me tell you something, you are responsible for your life. Until you accept full responsibility for where you are, you'll never have the power to change. How many of you spend your days blaming your job, your boss, your family, or the world for your struggles? It's easy, right? It's much easier to say it's not my fault than to look in the mirror and admit that you are in charge of your own destiny. But the truth is, you are where you are today because of the choices you've made, good or bad. You need to own that. If you don't take responsibility, you give up your power. The moment you say, it's their fault, you're handing control of your life to someone else. You're saying that your happiness, your success, your future is all in their hands. Embrace your strengths and weaknesses. If you don't embrace your strengths and weaknesses, you will never reach your full potential. It's easy to focus only on what you're good at and ignore what you struggle with. But your weaknesses are just as important as your strengths. If you avoid your weaknesses, they will hold you back. And you'll never grow into the person you were meant to be. How many of you constantly compare yourselves to others? You look at someone else's success and think, why can't I be like that? You see their strengths and forget that they have their own weaknesses too. The truth is, nobody is perfect. We all have strengths, but we also have weaknesses. And the only way to truly grow is to accept both. If you don't embrace your weaknesses, they will control you. They will hold you back, making you feel inferior and insecure. You will constantly try to hide them or pretend they don't exist. But let me tell you something, you can't grow if you're always trying to hide the parts of yourself that you think are weak. You need to confront them head on and use them as an opportunity for growth. Here's a quote you need to remember: your weaknesses are not your enemy. They're an opportunity to grow. When you accept your weaknesses, you take away their power over you. You stop letting them define you and you start using them to become better. Every person has weaknesses. What makes you different is how you handle them. Here's my advice: stop running from your weaknesses. Stop pretending they don't exist. Instead, look at them closely, understand them, and then work to improve them. Don't be afraid of what you're bad at. Embrace it. Work on it. And use your strengths to help overcome them. At the same time, own your strengths. Don't downplay them. Don't be afraid to say, I'm good at this. You've worked hard for those strengths, and they're part of what makes you unique. Use your strengths to your advantage and help others with them. But also be aware of your weaknesses so you can keep improving and growing. Embrace both your strengths and your weaknesses. You will never be perfect, but you can always be better. When you accept who you are, both the good and the bad, you can start to build the life you want. Stop running from your weaknesses and start turning them into strengths. That's how you grow. Be kind to yourself. If you're not kind to yourself, you'll never be able to achieve your full potential. We live in a world where we're constantly pushing ourselves harder, trying to meet other people's expectations, and comparing ourselves to others. We tell ourselves, I'm not good enough, I failed again, or I'm not doing enough. But let me tell you something, this kind of self-talk is killing your progress. It's destroying your confidence and stopping you from growing. How many of you are your own worst critic? You constantly beat yourself up for mistakes, failures, or things that aren't perfect. You tell yourself that you're not enough, that you need to do better, that you need to be more, and you never give yourself credit for the progress you've made. That's the problem, Dot. When you're always hard on yourself, you can't move forward. You hold yourself back with shame, guilt, and frustration. If you're not kind to yourself, you will burn out, Dot. You will lose motivation and drive. You'll fall into a cycle of negativity that makes it harder and harder to succeed. Your mental health will suffer, Dot. And when you're mentally drained, you can't give your best to your work, your family, or anything else. You can't serve others if you're constantly running on empty. Here's the truth: you can't pour from an empty cup. If you don't take care of yourself, you'll have nothing to give. You have to be kind to yourself, or you'll burn out, Dot. So here's what I want you to do: cut yourself some slack, Dot. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to have it all together right now. Give yourself permission to be human, Dot. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to fail sometimes. And guess what? That's okay. You're learning, you're growing, and that's what matters. Here's the advice I have for you: start speaking to yourself with love and compassion, Dot. When you mess up, don't beat yourself up. Tell yourself, I did my best. I will learn from this and I'll do better next time. Be your own biggest cheerleader, not your own worst enemy. You deserve kindness, even from yourself, Dot. And don't forget, you're not alone, Dot. Every successful person has faced setbacks. Every successful person has failed. But they didn't give up because they were kind to themselves. They allowed themselves to keep going, knowing that it's not about perfection, it's about progress. Be kind to yourself, Dot. Treat yourself the way you would treat your best friend. Give yourself the grace to make mistakes. Don't be so hard on yourself, Dot. You are doing better than you think, and it's time you recognized it. When you are kind to yourself, you will find the strength to keep going, and you will see progress. You deserve it, Dot. Build supportive habits. If you don't build supportive habits, you are setting yourself up for failure, Dot. Look around you. Everything you do, every result you get is the result of your habits, Dot. Your day is made up of small decisions, small actions that either move you forward or hold you back. So if your habits are weak, your results will be weak. If your habits are destructive, you will destroy your chances of success. How many of you wake up late every morning, hit snooze over and over again, and start your day already feeling behind? Or how about the habit of procrastination? Putting things off, delaying your goals until the last minute, and then stressing out about it. These habits will not get you where you want to go, Dot. If you don't build supportive habits, you're sabotaging your own success, Dot. Think about it. When you don't have habits that help you succeed, you're wasting time, energy, and focus on things that don't matter. Every time you skip the gym, every time you put off that important task, every time you spend hours watching TV or scrolling on your phone instead of working on your goals, you're digging yourself into a hole. You are your habits, Dot. You are what you repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. So start today by building habits that support your goals, Dot. It doesn't matter how small the change is, just get started. If you want to get in shape, it's not about working out for 2 hours once and calling it a day. It's about the habit of working out every day, Dot. If you want to improve your career, it's not about working hard for a week. It's about developing the habit of working hard every single day, Dot. Here's what I want you to do. Pick one habit that will support your success, Dot. Maybe it's waking up earlier. Maybe it's reading for 30 minutes every morning. Maybe it's planning your day the night before so you're ready to go. Whatever it is, make it a habit and stick to it. Don't make excuses. Don't wait for the perfect time. Start now, Dot. And remember, small habits make a big difference, Dot. Don't try to change everything at once. Focus on one small habit, and once that's in place, move on to the next. Before you know it, those small habits will add up to big results. Build supportive habits, Dot, because if you don't, you will never reach your potential. The life you want is built on your habits. Don't wait any longer. Take action now. Your future depends on the habits you create today, Dot. Live authentically. If you don't live authentically, you're living a lie, Dot. You're living a life based on what others want from you, not what you truly want for yourself. This is the root of dissatisfaction, Dot. You're stuck in a life that isn't yours, following paths laid out by society, family, or other people's expectations. But let me tell you, if you live like this, you'll never find true happiness, Dot. How many of you are constantly trying to impress others? You buy things you don't need, do things you don't want to do, or even act in ways that aren't true to who you are, just to please others. Stop doing that. You are not here to live for others, and you are not here to meet someone else's standards. You were born to live your life on your own terms, Dot. If you don't live authentically, you will end up feeling empty, Dot. You'll get to a point where you look at your life and think, is this really my life? You'll realize you've been living for everyone else, but not for yourself. And that feeling of emptiness, that longing for something more, that's what happens when you ignore your true self. It will eat you alive from the inside, Dot. Here's the truth, don't die with your music still inside you. So I'm going to ask you today, who are you? What do you really want out of life? What is it that sets your soul on fire? If you don't know, it's time to start figuring it out. Because if you're not living authentically, you are just going through the motions. And going through the motions is no way to live. Here's my advice to you, start being true to yourself, Dot, if you want to be happy. If you want to feel fulfilled, you have to stop pretending to be someone you're not. Start saying no to the things that don't align with your true self, and start saying yes to the things that make you feel alive. Stop worrying about what everyone else thinks, Dot. They are not the ones who have to live your life, you are. Take a moment to reflect on who you really are and what you truly want. What does the life you desire look like? How can you start living that life right now? Even if it's just one small step at a time. Live authentically, Dot. You only get one shot at this life, so stop wasting it trying to be someone else. Start living for yourself. And everything will fall into place, Dot. When you live authentically, you will find purpose, joy, and success.
You'll become the person you were always meant to be. Now, go out and live that life.
Now that you've heard these lessons, it's time to take action. The life you want doesn't happen by accident, it happens by design. Every single day. You have the power to choose how you live. You can choose to focus on yourself, live authentically, set your boundaries, and be true to who you really are. But the choice is yours. You see, no one else is going to do this for you. It's up to you to take responsibility for your happiness and your future. Stop waiting for permission to put yourself first, because the truth is, you'll never be able to give your best to others if you're running on empty. So start filling yourself up, take care of your mind, your body, your soul, and your spirit. When you do that, you will not only live a better life for yourself, but you'll also be able to give more to others in a way that's authentic and fulfilling. Remember, you are worth the effort. You deserve to live a life that aligns with your values, a life where you are not just surviving, but thriving. It's not selfish to focus on yourself, it's essential. So as you walk out of here today, take these lessons with you. Apply them. Live them. And watch how your life transforms. Now go out there and live your best life, the one that's truly yours. You've got this.